Now, before we get started, let's talk about protecting yourself. The recent breakout of the coronavirus is reminding everyone how easy things can turn from bad to worse. The sad part is that 99% of Americans are unprepared for a catastrophic event. If a zombie-like apocalypse were to sweep the nation, your life could change drastically. This doesn't have to be you. And one of the best things you can invest in for your protection when the lights go out is a 6-in-1 fighter flare flashlight. This 6-in-1 beauty comes with solar-powered recharging battery, 800-lumen LED high-low beam light, emergency strobe light, compass, wire and rope cutter, emergency glass breaker hammer, and a high-powered military-grade magnet. Charge your phone anywhere, anytime with the USB port. The fighter flare flashlight is the perfect addition to your prepping arsenal. Limited supplies last, and this is the very last chance to get 15% off the new 2020 model before they sell out. Take advantage now and give you and your family the gift of night protection. Please visit fighterflare.com and use the promo code X15 for 15% off. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, as we know, optics are very, very important. Timing is important, and traps are important. The deep state, the D's, they fell right into the trap. Trump, the Patriots, they have positioned themselves perfectly. And it seems that Barr now has the upper hand. Pelosi, Nadler, all these individuals that wanted him to testify, they are trapped in their own doing. And no matter which way they move, it's going to look bad for them. We'll be talking about that a little bit later in this report. But first, it looks like with Jussie Smollett, we know that he's been indicted. We know there was a special prosecutor that investigated what he did. And now the two Nigerian brothers, they would like to testify against Jussie Smollett. They said they have no ill will towards Mr. Smollett, but they want the truth to come out, and they're prepared and ready to testify against him. And this is not going well for Jussie Smollett. I don't believe it's going to go well for Kim Foxx and those individuals that contacted Kim Foxx, who has connections to the Obamas. I don't think it's going to go well for them either. Now, very interestingly, we know that Avenatti appeared on the mainstream media all the time, hundreds of times actually, with Stormy Daniels. The mainstream media continually said that Trump is afraid of Avenatti. Avenatti is the one who can take Trump down, and they really built him up. Well, guess what? Everything that he talked about, all his ramblings, how great he is, how he's going to do this, he's going to run for president. Well, that has all come to an end. Michael Avenatti was found guilty on all counts in the Nike extortion trial. His day is done. And everything the mainstream media tried to push, completely fake, phony, and false. And it didn't work. Actually, everything that they did not work. Now, very interestingly, we are seeing that CNN put out an interesting tweet where they want Pelosi and Trump to come together and work together. Now, the question is, why all of a sudden do they want them to work together? Because they realize that everything that they tried has completely failed. They realize what is coming, and there's nothing that they can do. Remember, this is not just about the politicians. It's just not about the unelected individuals. It's also about the mainstream media. They're all implicated in this. If one goes down, they all go down. And this is what they're worried about. So they're trying to figure out a way to say, hey, let's stop all this and let's talk about it. So they tried everything from the beginning, the Russian collusion, obstruction. They had this whole fake impeachment. They played it up. The mainstream media played it up with Avenatti, with Stormy Daniels, with all the isms and everything else. And now they're saying, hey, maybe we should just, come together and work it out and do what's best for the country. Well, Trump is doing what's best for the country. And it seems that Trump and Barr, they've trapped the deep state, the D's. Now, does this mean they're working together? Maybe, maybe not. But think about what they've done here. Now, yesterday, Barr appeared on ABC News, and he set the record straight that nobody can influence him. Not the president, not the media, nobody. He makes his own decisions. Remember, optics are very important. So Barr's independent. He'll not be influenced. He'll make his own decisions. He didn't even do the interview on Fox News. He did it on ABC News on purpose. And now the setup is complete. Barr can proceed. And that's exactly what he's doing. Trump tweeted out the following. The president has never asked me to do anything in a criminal case, AG Barr. This doesn't mean that I do not have, as president, the legal right to do so. I do, but I have so far chosen not to. And he's absolutely right. Now, very interestingly, everyone freaked out today when the news came out that the Justice Department is dropping its criminal investigation and pursuit of charges against fired Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe. So this is what the letter said. It says, "We write to inform you that after careful consideration, the government had decided not to pursue criminal charges against your client, Andrew G. McCabe, arising from the referral by the Office of the Inspector General to our Office of Conduct described in OIG's April 13, 2018 report entitled A Report of Investigation of Certain Allegations Relating to Former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. Based on the totality of the circumstances and all of the information known to the government at this time, we consider the matter closed. Please do not hesitate to contact us if you have any questions." And this was signed by J.P. Cooney, Chief Fraud and Public Corruption Section, and Molly Gaston, Assistant United States Attorney, Fraud and Public Corruption Section. Now, Jordan Sather tweeted out the following. "I could see strategy for this. People will say, why charge Flynn and not McCabe, adding to the argument. The public are saying, what the F, and demanding justice. This will make Durham's upcoming drops more accepted. Appear weak when you are strong. Information warfare." So let's back up for a sec here. Let's think about the strategy here of why they are doing this. And remember, optics are very important. So the Department of Justice under Barr went ahead and countered the sentencing of Roger Stone. What happened? The mainstream media went crazy. Barr is taking orders from Trump. We need an investigation. We need Barr disbarred. We can't trust him. Remember, Roger Stone lied. Did McCabe lie? Yes. More times than Roger Stone. What was it, over 4 or something like that? And the Department of Justice decided that we weren't going to pursue the case against McCabe. So they reduced the sentence on Roger Stone, and now they're not going to pursue the case for McCabe. It seems like Bill Barr is a fair player, doesn't it? This was done on purpose. What did the Patriots do? They lured the mainstream media and the others right down the path they wanted them to go. Barr does think for himself, makes his own decisions. He's not influenced by the president. Look, he let McCabe off. That's fantastic. Do you really think McCabe is off the hook? No, he's not. We'll be discussing that a little bit later in this report. The Department of Justice, remember, prosecutes serious crimes, the slam dunks. They're not finished with McCabe. Optics are very important. Then we have this come out today, that U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr has now assigned an outside prosecutor to review the abusive case against General Michael Flynn. Well, let's see what happened. Roger Stone, they reduced the sentence. They reviewed McCabe's case and said, listen, we have nothing here. We're not going to press charges. And to be fair, we should review General Michael Flynn's case, right? So Barr also assigned a handful of prosecutors to review other cases in the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. You see what he's doing here? It's brilliant. And then we have this. Scoop. Chairman Senate Judiciary formally asked AG Barr to make witnesses available for probe Crossfire Hurricane plus FISA. Told former department employees, cited in a letter, will be contacted directly, plan to call Comey, McCabe, Yates, Rosenstein, among others. at Lindsey Graham, etc. So let's put all this together. Barr dismisses McCabe's case, gives the illusion they are reviewing the other cases, then assigns an outside prosecutor to review Flynn's case. What do you think they're going to find? What do you think they're going to find in all the other cases? But remember, optics are important. He's making it look like, by letting McCabe off, that he is now reviewing it all fairly. And we know that the DOJ is not going to prosecute for lying, just like they didn't prosecute Comey for leaking. They want the real serious crimes, and that is what they are looking for. We'll be talking about that a little bit later. But first, it seems that the Senate Judiciary tweeted out a little poem for us, and it says, "Roses are red, violets are blue. The number of federal judges confirmed by the Senate is 192. There are now 192 judges waiting for the arrests, waiting for people to go on trial. And this was planned from the beginning. Remember, the plan, we had to set up all the pieces and put everything in place, remove the blocks, get the judges in place, remove those judges that are blackmailed out, put the judges that are going to follow the rule of law in. And this is what they have been doing. All of what we've been seeing is in preparation for what? The arrests, the trials. That's what we've been watching. Creating the proper optics, educating the people. This is all part of it. And remember, Q has told us that Epstein was brought into the fold for a very specific reason. And we know what that is. And very interestingly, Barclays chief Staley is being probed over Epstein ties. Now, this is Britain's financial regulators. They're probing links between Barclays chief executive Jes Staley and Jeffrey Epstein. Now, they won't talk about what they're actually doing, but it seems like this individual has been mixed up with Epstein, and I wonder what they have found on him. Now, very interestingly, the Pentagon has been ordered to stop work on its major cloud computing contract that Microsoft won last year, and this is coming from a court. They ruled that Amazon, which asked for the delay, argues it lost the Joint Enterprise Defense Infrastructure, or JEDI, contract to Microsoft because of Trump's remarks disparaging the company and its founder, Jeff Bezos. Amazon is suing the Pentagon in the Court of Federal Claims and filed the request for an injunction on January 22nd, saying in a statement that it is common practice to stay contract performance while a protest is pending, and it's important the numerous evaluation errors and blatant political interference that impacted the JEDI award decision be reviewed. The judge agreed with Amazon. The ruling is sealed, but a summary of the document posted on the public access to court electronic records website said the Pentagon is hereby preliminary enjoined from proceeding with contract activities until further order of the court. Amazon, they must provide $42 million in security, which will be held by the court until the case is closed, to cover any costs and damages if future court proceedings show the injunction was issued wrongfully. So we'll have to see how this plays out and see if they can prove this, which I have a funny feeling they're going to have a difficult time doing. Now, very interestingly, we know that Trump, the Patriots, Q, has been telling us, look at China, don't look at Russia. The mainstream media, the deep state, is telling us, look at Russia, don't look at China. Now, we've been seeing many individuals get arrested for selling secrets to China. We've seen colleges now being investigated for accepting funds from China. We've seen other corporations get into trouble because they've been putting high-profile children on their boards in their businesses from China, just like Biden with his son, but the opposite happened. It came from China over here to the United States. And now we see that there are charges against Huawei. Chinese telecommunications conglomerate Huawei and subsidiaries are charged in racketeering conspiracy and conspiracy to steal trade secrets. The 16-count superseding indictment also adds a charge of conspiracy to steal trade secrets stemming from the China-based company's alleged long-running practice of using fraud and deception to misappropriate sophisticated technology from U.S. counterparts. Now, Trump has always told us that Huawei is spying on the people. They have been stealing secrets, and it turns out that this is exactly what they've been doing. Actually, from the justice.gov, it says, revealed by the government's independent investigation and reviewed of court filings, the new charges in this case relate to the alleged decades-long efforts by Huawei and several of its subsidiaries, both in the U.S. and the People's Republic of China, to misappropriate intellectual property, including the 6 U.S. technology companies, in an effort to grow and operate Huawei's business. The misappropriated intellectual property included trade secret information, copyrighted works such as source code and user manuals for internet routers, antenna technology, and robot testing technology. And it seems that now the U.S. is going to say we're not selling chips to Huawei anymore. That is done. And it seems that China is the place to look, not Russia. Now, very interestingly, out in France, there seems to be more protests out there. This is from Oh Boy, What a Shot. Tweeted out the following: the revolt against Macron is spreading throughout France. Teachers, lawyers, firefighters, bus drivers, farmers, civil security pilots, and doctors and nurses, they're all protesting today. And Macron, just like all the other leaders, they are in trouble. Now, very interestingly, out in Ukraine, it seems like Zelensky is cleaning house. He fired his chief of staff and replaced him with Yermak. Now remember, Yermak spoke to Giuliani. They met last summer. And it seems that Zelensky right now realizes that there are certain people that he needs to get rid of. Boris Johnson is doing the same thing. They are draining the swamp. Now, we talked about Afghanistan, how they've reached this ceasefire deal. And it seems that the United States, they have also reached an agreement with the Taliban that will likely be implemented very soon and could lead to American forces leaving the country. And Trump has always said this, that he's going to end the endless wars. Let's get into some of Q's posts here. This is post 3861. Gives us a link to Washington Examiner. And this is Durham scrutinizing John Brennan's handling of Russian interference in 2016. Let me read a portion of this. U.S. Attorney John Durham is reportedly reviewing John Brennan's analysis of Russian election interference, including scrutiny of the former Obama CIA director's handling of a secret source said to be close to the Kremlin. Much of this revolves around how the United States government eventually reached its January 2017 intelligence assessment on Russian meddling and whether Brennan was pushing for a biased result. One major battle was about the identity and credibility of CIA source allegedly close to the Kremlin. The NSA wanted more details about him, which the CIA resisted before providing them. The NSA then disagreed with the CIA and FBI about how much confidence to place in the source. So, we see this article out there, and this is coming out of the Washington Examiner. The New York Times has the same article out there, and why is this information out there? Why is there a leak? Well, Q explains. Q says, read carefully, sound familiar. Sometimes a leak turns into a flood. So they drip this information out on purpose. Why? Because they're calling attention to it. Now remember, the New York Times and the other mainstream media outlets, they're going to try to get ahead of this story. But we already see that the U.S. and UK intelligence agencies, they're worried about John Durham now. Let's move on to post 3862. It gives us a Twitter link to Strand Junker. And this says, I need someone to explain to me why Bill Barr can immediately sit down with ABC, but not under oath before Congress. Explain it to me like I'm in kindergarten. Under this, it says RE delayed testimony. Number 1, allow for public dissemination of critical facts. This is in brackets and bold. possible unseals declas prior to the world televised sit-down. Sometimes the necessary form to update the American public is provided by those same people being investigated for it. Release to change strategy. Watch what happens next. So it seems we now have confirmation from Q that AG Barr will testify on March 31st. Documents may be declassified and indictments unsealed prior to his testimony. Why? This will allow Barr to educate the people on national TV as he testifies in front of the House Judiciary Committee. Now, this is a trap, and the deep state, the Ds, fell right into it. Just like the corruption in Ukraine. The public needs to learn about corruption in the Obama, FBI, CIA, and many other organizations that led to the phony Mueller probe in the first place. Barr is taking the time to declassify and collect information from Durham, and that brings me back to February 19th post again from a year ago. Now remember, this is on February 19th. This is post 2819. We mentioned this yesterday. This is the statement from the press secretary. Trump is allowing the declassification, handed this off to Barr. And it says review time. Now, we know that Q is not just talking to Anons. Q is talking to the deep state, the mainstream media, and any other players that are watching the boards. Now, Q could be putting this out to push the deep state into doing something. It might be for a strategic purpose, but we need to remember that there is a reason why Barr put off testifying to March 31st. This is not a coincidence. The deep state Ds are in a tough place. Optics are very important. Q informed them that this was a setup. The Ds ordered Barr to testify. They were outraged by what happened. Now, if they say we do not want him to testify, it shows that Barr is doing his job. He's not biased. He's doing a great job. Look what happened with McCabe. Look what's happening with Flynn. He's not one-sided here. But if Barr comes in and he testifies, this is going to be in front of the House Judiciary Committee. We know the mainstream media is going to broadcast it because just like with everyone else, like Cohen and Mueller and the rest, they all think they're going to trap Barr into saying what they want him to say, that he's working for the president. But we know that Barr is going to be saying things they don't want him to say. So think about it. The Patriots have set this trap. There's no place for them to go at this point. They ordered Barr in. If they back out, it tells the people that Barr is doing a great job. If they have him testify, it's going to show that Barr is doing a great job, but Barr is going to release the information. They completely trapped the deep state and the Ds. Brilliant move. Traps are important. Let's move on to post 3863. Now, this post was completely blank. And all we have is Q, the stringer, the date, and the time. And the time is 1:29, which is very interesting because we've seen the time before, 1:29, when Q gave us the watch with 1:29 on there, and certain information was released. What was that information? This was the time that Durham made his statement saying he disagrees with the findings of the IG report. And that was huge. So this could be that post, and this is all Q was giving us, but we'll have to wait to see. Let's move on to post 3864. Gives us a Twitter link to John Cardillo, and it says, they have only dropped the investigation arising from Horowitz 2018 referral. This has nothing to do with Durham's investigation, which is still ongoing, which is absolutely true. And this was a trap that they set. It was all about optics. How do we know this? We go on to post 3865. And there's a Twitter link from Dan Bongino, and it says, I'm not going to play the game until Durham investigation concludes. I strongly encourage you to do the same. Under this, it says, bigger, and this is in brackets and bold, slam dunk charges coming, which means McCabe is not off the hook. Just like with Comey, they needed a way to create the optics that Barr will proceed unbiased, where he's looking at both sides and he's saying, okay, Roger Stone, that's a ridiculous sentence. Of course, they made a really big deal about it. Then he looked at McCabe, reviewed that case, and said, okay, we're not going to press charges, even though he lied, which then allowed him to review all the cases. And it makes it seem like he's working on both sides. He's not taking orders from Trump. He's not influenced. He's doing his job. Now, they also set up the deep state and the D's because they called him in. They were very angry. The mainstream media was going crazy. And now, no matter which way they go, they're trapped. They don't have him testify. He's doing a great job. They call it off. If he goes in to testify, they tell the world, or he tells the world, a lot and educates the people. And this is why I do believe that Q in Post 3862 said possible unseals declas, because they don't know which way these individuals are going to go, and they're prepared for either way they go. Because remember, they're reading the boards also. But what's very interesting about all of this, and Trump has been doing this quite often, he retweeted "Drain the Swamp" again. But this time, it was the one that we read yesterday. It says, "Drain the swamp. We want bad people out of our government." And it seems like each time Q posts, this is the same tweet. He keeps repeating it, letting us know that something big is about to happen. And I think this is why we're seeing the attacks. This is why we see things happening. And this is why CNN is saying, oh, maybe Trump and Pelosi should get together. Maybe we should work together. I believe that they're struggling now. And I'm talking about the deep state. They're in trouble. There is no step 5. And Trump, the Patriots, they are now on the hunt. It's drain the swamp, drain the swamp. And this is why you see the attacks. This is why you see these individuals panicking, because the Patriots are moving in for the kill, and they know it. And they don't know how to get out of this. And there's no way to get out of this, because no matter which way they turn, they will be trapped. Remember, the Patriots plan this out. If they try to move to the right, they push him to the left. If they go move to the left, they push him to the right. They're pushing them where they want them to go. They're directing them. And this is why, just sit back and enjoy the entire show. There's no reason to get upset. Forget all your expectations. They need to place all the pieces and move everything around to make sure we continually trap the D's and the deep state. Because the only outcome of all of this is arrests and trials and educating the public and letting the public see who these people really are. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.